that black people is up here championing the loss of life of him just because he's white, not attributed to his talking points, but just because he's white. And they're saying, oh, well, his children are better off without him because now they will be safe from him. I don't think no one is seeking sympathy, because when it comes from the Democratic left, they have no sympathy within them whatsoever. Now, for them to be potentially empathetic, it would be nice, but at the same time, I don't see anyone out here saying, how could y'all possibly do this? It's more so, y'all are disgusting and this is distasteful. If you remove the fact that he was a conservative, if you remove the fact that he was a Christian, if you remove the fact that he was white, and you just keep the fact that he was a father, and that the only reason that they took his life is only because he did not agree with their talking points, and that they are now flourishing all throughout social media saying, well, we're glad that he's gone because he was misogynistic and he didn't like black people, and also his children are safe from him now. Go ahead.
So the problem is, that sounds good, but that just wasn't his full character. His full character sounded like he was dog whistling for racism and for white supremacy. I mean, the man literally said if he walks on an airplane and he sees a black pilot, you know, he's going to want to walk off because he might not be qualified because he was a DI hire and he don't have the skill to be flying the airplane. That is some dangerous rhetoric to say to people, especially when you have a big audience. That is why a lot of people have this vitriol towards him. It wasn't just black folks that have this vitriol towards him. It was a plethora of people, because he was disrespectful to everybody that was not of his skin color. If it was Chinese, he would disrespect them by calling them certain names and pushing their whole culture down. He did it with a plethora of different people by saying things. And so when this man is out there spewing hate for majority of the clips that is clipped up of him, that is the true issue. And people are really talking towards that when it comes to him and saying, hey, listen, I was the enemy when he was alive. I'm going to have that same energy for him. This is why I don't think they have empathy for him. Hopefully people do have sympathy for him being a family man. That's one thing we do need to understand, that it needs to be separate. Him as a family man should not be the same as his politics, you know? And so that's where it is disgusting when they add in the politics with his family situation. That's horrible.
So let me ask you a question. If people are only going to be going off clips of what it is that he's saying, are clips a true representation of who he was as a person?
It is a representation of him because he did it so often. It wasn't taken out of context. So this was a part of his talking points, this to make it seem like black folks, black men in America were dangerous, or we was the fatherless, situation, and saying that we are DIs, that we were not qualified to be in the jobs that we were in. So this is why he is a very dangerous person. This is why people had a literal felt like he was hitting them, because we understand, me and you both understand, sometimes when people are saying certain things, it feels like you are slapping them, but that's the way how they react to you, right? You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? That's how they react to you, even though that's not necessarily your intent. However, when you are saying things that is provoking, see, the problem is that freedom of speech is not the same as provoking speech. And what he had was provoking speech. He was provoking all this race tension. He was provoking hatred in other races. He wasn't attempting to be thought-provoking and say, hey, we need to look at this deeply. No, he was provoking people into this kind of violent state that, sad to say, it happened ironically while he was talking about gun violence. Like, that was the last words he said, was gang. The last two words was gang violence, and then pow.
Yeah, okay. So the reason I asked you that question is we were talking about the context of character. Even the black pilot context, the black pilot clip is being taken out of context because it's talking about a bias. And a lot of people, no matter what culture that you live in or no matter what culture you was born into, everyone has a bias, just being honest. And when it comes to specifically about black people, we have said and done things within our own community against ourselves that's worse than anything else that any other culture could say. about the whole pilot thing. Do I feel some type of way when I see a black pilot? You damn right. When I see a black pilot, I'm being honest. When I see a black pilot,
Can I ask you a question? What does that feel? The feeling of proudness, and you feel great, like, yes, I see another brother like myself moving up in the world. Hopefully that's what you mean.
When I see a black person that's a pilot, I'd be like, oh man, that's cool. Do he know how to fly in this plane though? You see what I'm saying? I'm being honest. No, wait, hold on, wait. Jokes aside, just being serious. When you look at the last 4 years up under the Biden administration, you look at the push with DEI and how it is that they was promoting people literally in positions that did not qualify for the job, and they was skipping over people just because they was not black. People who had years of experience. So a black pilot who just got his license or just got his certification to fly is getting selected to be the pilot. But this man has been flying for 10 years and he has hundreds of thousands of flight hours up under his belt. And just because he's white, they would pass him up. It's wrong for a white person or a black person to point out that truth, that in America, up under Biden, that DEI was the goal, and they specifically picked black people for the job just because of their skin color, because they didn't want to get canceled. Go ahead, you got it.
So the issue is that this whole DEI thing that people had, and this is a problem with people like Charlie, he made it seem as if the people that got so-called hired through DEI, they was not qualified. These people are 100% qualified. That is the problem that people are misconstruing. So that black pilot, yes, he could fly the plane because he went through all of the training that happens. This is the problem. Majority of the accidents that happen are from white pilots, but nobody says anything. Nobody looks at a white pilot like, I hope he ain't drunk. I hope he ain't coked out. I hope he ain't spend all his money on strippers and now he has sleep deprivation. Nobody says these things. And this is why somebody like Charlie spewing out the things that he was saying was very dangerous, because he painted a narrative as if DI meant that you was unqualified and people that were qualified did not get the job, and now the planes are more dangerous. And this is the ideology that we got to stop it. We just got to be in the truth and deal with that as is.
So let me ask you a question. Are there more black pilots or white pilots?
It's more white.
So if you have 50 pilots in total, and 30 of those pilots was white and 20 of those pilots was black, if 15 from each nationality of pilots crash, wouldn't there be subsequently that there's more white pilots have more accidents than black pilots?
Right. If you
hold on, wait. There's a reason I'm asking this line of question. So bias has nothing to do with facts. You can't say that no one wants to point out that there's more white pilots having accidents, because guess what? The truth is that there's more white pilots. If 5 planes go down versus 2 planes from a black pilot goes down, then of course they're going to say, well, of course it's more white pilots. That's the same argument that's happening right now that is within red states with these blue cities, that is going with the homicide rate so high because of all of that and the other. But that's something that's we're going to get into that later. But going back to the pilot situation, you're talking about a bias. Most people, regardless of culture, nationality, wherever they come from, when you see a dude walking down the street and he looked like he come from the hood, most people would either clutch their pearls, they would secure their shit, or they would cross the street. That's nothing against that. That's not racism. That's just bias. The majority of people lives outside of the hood. When they see niggas from the hood coming up the street, they feel some type of way. When they see a black pilot versus a white pilot, they feel some type of way. That's just the truth. That's not racism. That's not bad to say. It's just the truth. What Charlie was saying was just something that everyone else was thinking. Was it worth him dying for, though?
So it wasn't what everybody else was thinking. People started believing that rhetoric after he said it because he was so important to them. And that is the scary part. Majority of the time when people seen a person accomplish something that is prestigious as pilot, doctors, nurses, and so on and so forth, it was a problem. Like, yes, this is what doctor was dreaming about, that we are gaining things off of our merit, and not off of just because this is the good old boys, which we seeing now that with the DI pullback, right? We see is a lot of good old boys getting jobs now. It's a lot of certain people are getting fired now. It's a lot of people that are not actually qualified that is in the Oval Office cabinet right now, and we know that. And
So
And
you want to
that
make
is
this? You want to make this?
no,
You
I
want to
want
make
to make
this?
it that
Okay, go ahead.
I want to make it that when people like Charlie said that, and then people was going with that rhetoric, it was making us as if Black people was inferior to other people when we did everything in our power just to even get that opportunity, just so we can have an even playing field.
But why are we taking common truth and we're painting it as racism? Just because people get offended by the truth does not mean that it's racism. We can tell the truth right now that when it comes down in America, Black people can be considered the most dangerous in a neighborhood setting where poverty is high. Could you agree to that?
No.
Okay, so in hoods, right? In hoods, if you see 5 dudes standing outside the gas station, you see 5 dudes, and I'm not talking about you, I'm talking about in general. When people see 5 dudes standing outside the liquor store, they got their pants sagging, they got a bottle of beer, or they out there smoking weed. What's the probability of people going into that store?
All right, so now with that exact specific thing, I say very small. They'll be very wary and conscious of themselves going to store.
Right. Because it's an understood notion that something ain't right about this. That's not racism. That's just common understanding. Now, even when you want to talk about the housing market, most people that is not living in the low to middle class, let's say low to low middle class, most people would not go move into a neighborhood where there's 3 abandoned houses, especially when this dude sitting outside the house playing loud music and smoking weed. That's not racism, nor is that bias. What the hell is call it? I'm gonna answer that right now. So that's not racism. That's not bias. That's just truth. Again, people take these notions and say, well, that's racist if you don't want to move into the hood. Most people that live in the hood don't want to stay in the hood. Why? Because there's a high potentiality of crime. So again, when we're talking about people looking at the black plane pilot, that's not racism. It's just the truth. We all look at him a little squarely like, all right, cool. Now, as far as the last 4 years, you want to talk about black people being put in position that was qualified versus right now about people in the Oval Office that's not qualified. Do you want to make this about Trump, or can we just stick to Charlie Kirk?
Yeah, we could move there when we get there, but I think what you're building right now is I definitely want to talk on that point.
So, Go ahead.
So the problem is that majority of the people that are saying the most racist things, they are always trying to mask and say, no, I'm just telling the truth. And then if I say something racist, right, that's not me actually being racist. That's just me being truthful. So I apologize if I offend you for sounding racist, but I'm not being racist towards you on purpose.
One second. Anybody who sends super chats, all the super chats will be acknowledged after we get done. I don't want to break the flow of conversation. Go ahead.
And take down that comment so they can see our name, because we doing a good job and we holding our composure. It is awesome today.
There we go. All right, go ahead.
And so a lot of people that have the rhetoric of a Charlie Kirk, they will say these things to make it seem as if they are just being truthful and honest, but in reality, they are hiding behind truth, behind a racism, right? So racism is equal to the so-called truth. So every you might find racism elsewhere, but it ain't me. This is what Charlie would say. It ain't me being racist. I'm just telling the truth. It ain't my fault when I see a black pilot, I'm wondering if he's qualified. It ain't my fault that the poverty and people that's not making money is in the crime, really, even though crimes is really dealt by other gang members. Majority of people that are regular citizens, they not being affected on a per capita the way how they try to make it seem like in the media. So they hide behind the truth and say that it's not racism, when in reality it's literally a dog whistle. We are all opening our ears and we start to understand the rhetoric. This is how that man got into office, behind the dog whistle or behind that red coat that they have as MAGA people. We understand it now.
Right. But again, we're attributing or we're platforming the label of racism where it does not need to be. True racism is hating people and disassociating them just because of their skin color, not acknowledging that their skin color is there and then accepting them for who they are. When you look at the Democratic liberal left, they're the ones that specifically bring up race. They participate in racism. You have people within the black community who, just because the person is black, does not believe with their political beliefs. They say that they are self-hating. They will say that they are against the culture. They will call them what's that they call him? They will call him an Uncle Tom because they're uneducated. They don't know that they truly should be calling him a Sambo. But to get back to your comment about people and their biases, we're talking about common fact and truth, and people who do not like common fact and truth and labeling it as racism and participating in hate speech, even as going as far as, like we seen yesterday, killing a person just because they disagree with them. It is just a solid truth. The things that Charlie was saying, though it may have been impactful and it may have hurt someone's feelings, tell me what he said that was worse than what Black people say and do to themselves on a day-to-day basis. And you can't, because we do it. I've never heard Charlie call somebody a nigga, but I hear all the time in the Black community, we throw the word nigga out like it's just everyday. It's almost as attributed to everyday actions such as breathing. But you know what the problem is? Let one white person call us a nigga, and the first thing we do is, oh my God, that's racism. But you behaving like a nigga. Remember that argument me and you got about in Texas? Carmelo? So a hoodlum is a hoodlum. A nigga is a nigga. There's no dissuading that. But truth to point, when it comes to someone killing someone, we have to look at the bad behavior and call it out. That's not racism. That's just calling out bad behavior.
And so the problem is Carmelo is not a thug. He's not a hoodlum. He's none of those things. He's a good kid. And
Charlie wasn't a racist.
And but he moved like one.
Carmelo moved like one.
No, he did not. So this is the problem.
I'm glad that we're here.
We tried to lump up somebody like Carmelo that's doing all of the right things, literally and figuratively.
But look at how the community responded, though.
He defended himself against two people that was putting him in danger, and that was known in there. And as we come out, we don't have to dive too deep into it, right? But like he was. From on paper, let's just leave it at on paper instead of let's go into the case, right? On paper, Carmelo is a good kid, and we should leave it as a good kid until we find out different information about Carmelo. However, the narrative is that he looks a certain way, so therefore he has to be a thug. And that is the real issue, not about what actually is going to come out much later, because we had a great conversation about that as well.
I cut in for just a second?
Charlie, on the other hand, he is somebody that perpetuates, and he is a provocateur. He is the one that is provoking all of this racial dog whistling. He is saying that white is better. He is saying that if you see a Black pilot, you should have your ears perk up and look at him. Instead, look at him as a pilot and trust that airlines hired a good pilot, and it doesn't matter if he's Black, white, or Chinese or indifferent. That shouldn't matter. Only thing that matters is that you trust that airlines and you trust the airline hiring manager that this pilot is qualified, and he's not a so-called DEI unqualified pilot. He's only been there for 1 year. No, you got to go through a rigorous situation to become a pilot. And the fact that we do not even have any Black pilots on record that have been crashing in the commercial airlines, it shows that maybe.
But Sharon,
looking at those white pilots as, hey, maybe they are the inferior one.
Now, Sharon,
I understand Denzel, he played the junk pilot, and maybe that plays a little bit more into Charlie Kirk's whole situation. But no.
But Sharon, I have to call bullshit because you're twisting his words. You're saying that Charlie Kirk said that white is better just because he called out the bias that everyone has when they see a Black pilot. That's not racism. That's just you feeling some type of way about what he said. And that's not just you. Again, I'm speaking in general. That's just people feeling some type of way about what he said. But the truth is this. It's a common truth. Everyone has a bias. Now, as far as going for the whole thing about community understanding, when we see Black people, when we see niggas, let's just call it for what it is. When we see niggas, it's okay. We'll be all right. When we see niggas and you have Black people defending fuckery that niggas do, who's not going to have a bias? Going back to Charlie, I have never heard this man nowhere use any type of racism against Black people. When it comes down to it, I've never heard him use a racial slur. I've never heard him say that the white people are better. I've never heard him say that Black people belong up under white people. I've only heard him say that, yes, as a country, we need to call out the bad things that is happening, and we need to do better. What is so racist about that? There's nothing racist about that. When we speak about abortion, when we speak about deaths, gun deaths, gang violence and stuff like that, when we're talking about these transgenders going into these schools and shooting up these schoolers, being careful. When we're talking about all these things, we're talking about actual researchable common fact where we can all come to a general understanding. But when it comes to the Democratic liberal left, it's always that's racist, that's fascism, that's Nazism. No, it's not. It's just the truth. You may be hurt by the truth, but instead of doing better, I'm going to end on this. Instead of doing better, you only choose to delete people. And what did we see yesterday? We seen a man with a shirt that said freedom and blood rained down, and only because he was speaking the truth, they took his life. Same thing with Martin, same thing with Malcolm. Go ahead.
Absolutely. That's blasphemy, by the way. So
that's blasphemy?
That is blasphemy.
Go ahead.
So the thing is this. When a black person is saying the N-word, because I don't say the N-word, I say friends. So you know what? You are my real friend. You are real friends. You know what I'm saying? You my friends. I don't say the N-word. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I replace the N-word with friends. When we saying it to each other, it's not in a racist situation. So it has a history of why his people will be saying that towards us. And so that's how it can be as used as a target point. This is what I'm trying to get you to understand, is that they use the truth and they mask the truth. But really, when you take that mask off, what the truth is really racism. First, they say, hey, they will say some stat and they will misconstrue the stat. Right? Because we know if we look at crimes, who's doing the majority crimes in America, we know it ain't us. We know that for a fact that 70% of crimes is done by a certain demographic of men, but we do not talk about those things, right? So when we talk about SA, 70% of SAs is done by who? When we talk about rape, that's done by who? When we talk about kidnapping and when we put a crime to totality, it ain't us that's doing it. So when we look at who are the real dangerous people in America, it is not the black folks. And this is why we know Zador, he didn't just do it against us. This is why it seems as if he's putting his people above everybody else, because he talked down about the Chinese. He was calling them chinks. So that's it's in a clip that he had that he literally told to the Chinese, he called them chinks. So that is a derogatory word that he's using towards a demographic of people. So he has done that. So people recognize that he is not this peaceful person that he was trying to make himself out to be. That's why it's blasphemous to say that he is anywhere near a Martin. You cannot put those two people in the same name, because Martin said, hey, I want to build a society where it's off of merit of a person's character. This man is not pushing that. He might say things like, he want the male to be the father figure and the leader of the house and all those things. But behind all that, that's where you start to peel back the onion. You start hear the racist comments that's coming out of his mouth. And so, yes, he might not attempt to say directly, because he is an intelligent human being. He knows how to work his way around the conversation and hide his racism with some truthful things in it.
Gotcha. Now I want to go piece by piece, everything that you just laid out, which, by the way, still love you, but it's all bullshit. First, let's start with I know you'll be okay. First, let's start with the whole thing about racism, right? Where did it start?
It started with those white folks.
Where did it start?
Somewhere in the deep South.
Okay. And when you're talking about the deep South, when did the first slave arrive in America?
Oh, that's an interesting question.
1619. I got you. 1619. Jamestown, Virginia. Okay. Now, in the racist, fascist, white, democratic, enslaving South, this is where all of black people experience racism. It wasn't until they started migrating to the North with the anti-federalist movement, where they were free people, that they was not up under true slavery or just slavery at all, because you still have some slave owners in the North, but they got rid of. Now, when you go back to the Civil War, as the Civil War happened, the white, democratic, racist South slaveholders, they were counting their slaves as property. Would you agree?
Correct.
Okay. And because of this, in the North said the anti-federalists, also known as the abolitionists, also known as the Republican Party, when they said that, no, We don't like the idea of slavery, hence why it is that we got with it, hence why it is that we're going to get rid of it across the United States of America, what it's called as of now. The South is the ones that wanted to keep black people in slavery. What was the political party of the South?
Okay, Democrats.
And what specific organization which targeted black people and hunted black people and hanging from trees black people, which organization was promoted by the Democratic Party? It's okay to say.
We know the 3-letter.
Okay, cool. Okay. So then we get to the notion of in 2025, we literally had a Democratic administration bust open the borders so they can bring in all of these illegal and replace the you call them friends, I'm calling them niggas. We're going to replace all the niggas with the illegals. Now, everything I just said should sound like revisionist history. It should sound like I am self-hating. But the things that you are complaining about, why you're saying that other cultures call us or call us outside of our name, or why it is that we feel comfortable calling each other that, that's because of the racist South. Now, we get to a point in history where, guess what? They recognize that they need the black vote. What do? They change up their rhetoric. They change up their tactic. So now in 2025, you have people saying that we need to be more loving and we need to give more hugs. So they want to hide their racism. They want to change their rhetoric to love on black people. So you mean to tell me that Charlie Kirk, a man who has never participated in any form of racism, never participated in any form of hate, who did not have to change his rhetoric, not one time, a man who has never changed his position, he deserved to die only because people felt like they was taking his words out of context. I call bullshit. Number two, when it comes to black people switch ways. They switch ways more than they switch draws. And to complain about how people outside of the culture call us niggas when we treat each other like niggas, because just like you just said, you don't use the word niggas, you use the word friends. You're going to sit here and say, my nigga. But if a white person says, my nigga, it's going to be, you're going to feel some type of way. How about this? Instead of labeling everything racism, how about change the behavior? I am in agreement with you. Let's stop using the word nigga. Cool, no problem. Let's address those who do use the word nigga. Cool, no problem. But let's also point out, call out, and change the bad behavior within the black community instead of getting mad at those within and outside the community who call out the problems. These are very understood truths that within the black community, when you want to say other communities are doing it, if we're only going to focus on the black community, why are we worried about what they do and or don't do? Within the black community, we need to stop all of this damn child deletion. We need to stop all of this single parentership. We need to stop all this damn depending on the government. People need to get off their ass, stop being lazy, go get a damn job. We need to stop with all of this dumb shit. But guess what? Niggas love it. And since niggas love it, and that's what we promote in our music, in our movies, in our culture, in our speeches, and in every aspect of what we do, to the point to where now people are saying that there is no understandable line of a separation when it comes to nigga shit and black shit. But you know what the problem is? One of the greatest speakers for the black community made a very pointed statement. He said, this is quote Malcolm X, a black person who follows its liberal leaders, I'm summarizing. A black person who is led astray by its liberal leaders will always be lost. You got the floor.
The problem that we tend to miss is that black folks are doing much better than the media is pushing out there. And if we tend to listen to human beings like Charlie Kirk, we will actually believe that we are doing most of the degeneracy in America. That is the problem with men like that. Do he deserve? No. Deserve is not, me and you both agree on that part. People should be able to speak what they say. But however, he was one that provoked his own demise. When we
stop. He provoked his own demise?
He provoked his own demise. Yes, by speaking
the way
he speak. Yes, because he got to understand that he is provoking these thoughts. He is provoking people. A lot of people had vitriol towards him by the things that he was saying, especially the ones that were not true. And we just got to be honest. If we're going to be truthful about what happened, it's freedom of speech is a very slippery slope. Freedom of speech does not mean you can say whatever comes to mind. You cannot have provoking conversations. because when this is why Donald Trump was kind of like
sure you want to make this about Trump?
He's kind of the person that was coined that he pushed out the January, he whistled out to his January Sixers, right? Because he had provoking words. He didn't say it, so to speak, but his words was provoking enough where they understood it, right? And so Charlie was moving in that manner. He was provoking things. He was provoking violence, whether he knew it or not. He tried to act like he didn't understand that he was using provoking violence. Like I was saying earlier, when it comes to crime stats, Black folks are not doing the majority crime in America. 7% of crime, when we just totality crime, is done by white Americans, and that is something that they keep sweeping under the rug like we are the degenerate ones. Some place like Chicago, right? It was 500. Let's just say, I don't know the exact number, right? It's 500 deaths in Chicago, but it's 3 million people in Chicago. So we do the per capita, which a lot of these MAGA people love to use. Per capita is not a conversation if it's 500 to 3 million. And so we understand that is a very concentrated situation. These places that they try to push out that is dangerous for people to walk down, those are the same places that people like Kirk is buying up and turn them into $1 million apartments and $1 million homes, because they are lying to us and we are feeding into it. Just like with the music and everything as well, what you have brought up earlier is that we keep having this detrimental music and detrimental movies. Hey, listen, the mob, they have their own version of their kind of music that's detrimental. They have their own, they literally had the mob, which is probably the most degenerate gang in society that ever existed here. I mean, they deleted politicians. We don't even know if this whole Charlie situation, it is most likely some white on white situation. It is some mob mafia thing. It is some political thing. He was assassinated by his own people. MAGA probably was the ones that did it, so they could say now he is a martyr for MAGA. It would make a lot of sense if we talk about conspiracy, but let's not talk about it too much because that is a slippery slope that we don't want to dive down most likely.
I ain't trying to get terminated off YouTube, and I don't think you is.
You know what I'm saying? That's just a thought that popped in my head. I apologize for even bringing that up. However, so when we really break it down, we cannot allow people like that to have those type of rhetoric as the truth without really pulling back that mask and realize his truth is racism.
So let me ask you a question. This is a direct question for me. Anybody that wants your questions asked from the chat, it must come with a super chat because there's a lot to click through and I want to stay within the conversation. Let me ask you a question. So just because it doesn't fit the Black or the victim narrative, it's racist?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Then how can you say that what he was saying was not a truth that is commonly recognized by everybody?
The reason why is because he didn't have these common truths about his own people. He only had these common truths about Black folks, Chinese, small hat, gay people, and those are the only facts that was truthful. Anything against his people is like, well.
So facts are racist?
He'll be like, it's not really racism. I'm not racist. Racism is outside. Racism is everywhere, but inside me is the model that he went by. But we clearly can't hear you.
So facts are racist?
When it's skewed, yes. You can
skewed to thank you for answering. Skewed to only you.
When you skew the facts to make other groups of people look a certain way, you are not being truthful anymore.
Okay, but you say skewed to only you. Most of the people that came to talk with Kirk were white people asking about transgenders and gay community, and you have Black people asking about Black community and gay community and trans rights. So my question to you is this: if the only questions that's available for him to answer is skewed to the questions that they ask, is facts racism? So that would be like me asking you, what's 1 + 1? There's only one viable answer. It's 2, correct? So if you give me the answer of 2, is it racist?
No.
Okay, so when we're talking about facts and logic, we know the 3 rules of principality when it comes to fact and logic, right? So when we're talking about that, you can't paint the man a racist if you're going to ask him a general question, which is only concerned about a few sectors of the subvert community. That doesn't make him racist. Don't ask him the question. But even more so, Don't ask the question if you're not prepared for the answer, but he should not die for it.
Right, he should not die for it. However, the thing is that we are not going to escape is that when it was come to him to be truthful about his own people, he couldn't do it. And that showed his racism, and that showed his bias. That showed that he felt that his people always had an excuse to do what they wanted to do, while other people was just degenerates. That's where the superiority situation happens with the way how he communicates with what he is saying. That is the real issue that people had with him. It wasn't about that he was being honest about the Black community that he has no idea about. That's number one, because when we look at where crime was 30 years ago or even 10 years ago, we'll see that the crime rate went down and population went up. So therefore, it shows that crime is not the way how they are pushing it out to be. It is a lie. This is, again, them using some truthful things and they trying to make certain people look a certain way. When, again, when I say, hey, school shootings, it is done by who? Right? When we talk about crime in totality in America, 70% of the crimes is done by who? That's who you need to be talking about. The majority, not the minority of the T people or the minority of 500 people versus 3 million people in Chicago. It is not the way how they are pushing it out. And that's what people were starting to recognize with people like him and other people that was following suit.
So let me ask you a question. So a trans person shoots up a school. A Black person comes to ask Charlie Kirk, how do you feel about trans people shooting up schools? He says, well, I attribute that to violence and it's wrong. But yet it just so happens that a Black person is now questioning him and confronting him about this. And if he says anything, well, about the Black community, which the Black community is now defending the gay community, so one cannot have free speech to talk about the problems that is being brought to them unless it's racism, because it's a skew towards them and is only speaking about the negativity in them. So my question now is this, okay, so facts are racist, got it. Common knowledge is not common knowledge, got it. So facts are not true, got it. What the hell is true? Because now what you're saying is unless it's all derived from compelled speech, no one can speak freely. That's what we're saying?
No, what I'm saying is that freedom of speech is not the same as provoking speech. And what he used was provoking speech. He was using all of the stats to push out hatred towards certain communities. And this is why he got the pushback that he got. He did not have a truthful and honest conversation about what is happening to this country. As we start to look back and we start to see things unfold, we could kind of see that, hey, maybe some of the things that is transpiring is not a good look, right? We see that DEI is not as negative as people was trying to make it out to seem, right? First of all, most people got it wrong about what DEI was, right? And majority of the people that got pushed forward in DI was white women, and the majority of people that got their jobs taken away were Black human beings, male and female. And so it goes to show that is a part of the dog whistle that people are talking about. And when we are being honest and truthful, we will talk about those things as well. And he ignored those facts. He ignored redlining. He ignored they want us to forget all of those things that happened to us. Majority of Black people, as we look at the history, we was trying to be left alone. Tulsa, Oklahoma, we wasn't bothering nobody. They came up Redwood, and we could keep going down the line with those people in California that bought their properties, they got it taken away from. They was attempting to be left alone. But they don't want to leave us alone and let us be to our own vices. We gonna be good where we at. We okay. Stop taking our music. Stop taking our clothes. Stop taking our slang. Leave us the hell alone.
So Black people want to be left alone, yet Black people always take up the fight for people that's not their people, correct?
Because I don't know if I want to say
okay, well here I'll rephrase the question.
The reason why that is being said is because of civil rights. Civil rights was for all human beings to be treated.
Oh, you just said Black people leave Black people alone. We did with Black people. Let's not talk about civil rights. Nope.
No, what I'm saying is like the reason why that ideology that we help everybody is because of what happened with civil rights, that it helped everybody.
Okay, so but civil rights wasn't just primarily for black people.
Correct.
Okay, so black people took on the fight, even though they themselves see themselves as the victim and they want to be acknowledged as the victims, such as redlining, such as Jim Crowing, such as what happened in Kansas, what happened in the South. Black people just want the acknowledgement, correct? So when that acknowledgement is given,
not just acknowledgement, but also they want it to be corrected.
Corrected as in what way? What do you mean?
So
you talking about reparations?
Reparations.
You're asking for reparations from the wrong people.
We just want what was supposed to be given to us from the.
And go talk to the Democratic leaders of the South.
Right, but those Democrats leaders of the South are not Republicans. We
know they're not.
Yes, they are. We know
they're not.
They was Dixie. We know they switched
Dixiecrats. No, the party's getting switched.
We know that they. Me and you both know that this is how they get us to have this BS argument of which side is actually for who, right? Because I'm not blue or red. I'm not that. I vote for whoever is best in my interest. Like, for example, I have to fight for homeschooling. And if I'm going to fight for homeschooling for the governors on the East Coast, I got to vote Republican. And I have no problem fighting for that, because that's one of my main things for my children right now, right? So I don't have a blue or red side. I have whoever is pushing the narrative that I see best for my family, right?
Respectfully, you're moving too far past. Moving too far past. Respectfully. Okay. The reason that I asked you about the slavery thing, if you want to talk about reparations, why don't you go talk to the people who sold you in Africa?
Because that's not who owes us reparations.
How the hell are you not owe reparations by the people who sold you?
Because I'm supposed to get reparations for the people that I fought with.
Okay.
So cool. Because those are the people that wrote it down and said, "Hey, we're gonna give you this when we win." So
yeah, but because of Jackson, that was rescinded, right?
Say that again.
Because of Jackson, that was rescinded, right? He took that away.
He didn't necessarily take it away. He just stopped giving it to black folks. He started giving it to white folks.
But then you got Lyndon B. Johnson that gave y'all welfare.
Slave masters, they got their reparations.
Oh, okay. So black people want what was promised to them. Gotcha.
From the work that they put in.
But the work that they put in, which they still believe in today, which is preached all throughout Christian Baptist churches, all throughout their scriptures, all throughout their sermons, they are beating into the heads of you today so you can give to the church the same thing that the white slave masters was beating to the head of the slaves back then. It was honest and God's work, and it was justifiable to be a slave up under a master because that master was ordained to them by God. So how can you say that you want to be paid for work now that they did then?
Because it was never paid. So therefore,
but that's the thing, though. It was wait. You said it was never paid. It was paid then because it was honest work up under God.
No, so here's the problem. For some reason, we act as if we don't understand that money is passed through generations. A lot of these white folks, they got their money and they never worked for it a day in their life. They don't even give a damn about their great-great-grandparents at all. They barely even know their name, but they got wealth from them. Right, we know all these banks, Chase and Wells Fargo, all those are real people named Ford. That's a real person, and all those people, they kids. Guess what? They took over the goddamn company, right? They ain't never worked for that shit a day in their life, but they got it. So therefore, so we need the same situation. You didn't give it to our ancestors, whoever's like great, whoever.
So did the Irish get it?
So therefore, you need to pay up to my family, if that is your family, right? Because
did the Irish get it? Huh? Did the Irish get reparations?
Yes.
Did the Roman Catholics get reparations?
Yes.
Did the abolitionists get reparations?
That's up for.
Did the white people get reparations?
Yes. The slave owners got reparations. Yeah.
So the white slaves that were slaves along with the black. No. The white slaves that were slaves along with the black people, they didn't get reparations.
Which ones?
The white slaves that were slaves along with black people, they didn't get reparations.
That's a slippery slope because
it's not a slippery slope.
It's the reason why we know a lot of them, when they start to realize that they could use that white talk, that's when they start turning to $5 Indians and all these things. We know a lot of people on reservations ain't really Indian. So it started to be slippery when the Irish, the Italians, and all the people, when they realized they could take that off and say that they are white instead of saying they are Italian or saying that they are Irish. Things start to change a little different in America.
Oh, so it's just the same as
we cannot be us as black folks. We cannot separate ourselves from a Jamaican for real.
So even just the same. Hold on, wait. It's just the same as Kamala claiming that she's Indian, but now all of a sudden she's black.
Right, you can use that if you like.
Oh, okay. So then we shouldn't believe that Kamala was black, or we shouldn't believe that Kamala was Indian without a DNA genealogy, right?
No, we cannot say that. So the reason why
So what you literally just said, nah, come on, man.
The reason why we can't, because before 30, 40 years ago, that was not allowed. So now,
how can you prove
in 2025 we are separating everybody and saying that now we have a new, it's mixed, and now you 10% this and all that. But when we was younger, it was no such thing at all. People didn't care if you was half of this or 30% of that. If you had enough of the phenotype to look black, that's what you was. It didn't even care how light you were, right? But that was our era, and so so I think that's where that is problematic for us, because we move forward and we're trying to add in new words and new human beings. I guess I don't know what the fuck to call them, to be honest, at this moment. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but when you look at someone like Tariq Nasheed, who's the leader of the FBA, Tariq Nasheed, which is primarily racist as hell when it comes to anybody that's outside the black culture, because he never calls out any of the degeneracy within the black community. What I hear from you, this is only for you, so don't take no offense to it. You want equity over equality. That's what you want.
I want what's old, so I guess so. Yeah.
Okay. So, but here's the problem though. Every time y'all approach that, y'all broach that subject, when you talk about equity over equality, what you're saying is that others did not also shed blood and die on the same soil that y'all fought on. So even when we talk about in 20, well, I'm gonna finish in 1 second. Even when we talk about in 2025, we have been saying that because of DEI and that there is multiple black billionaires and millionaires all across America, you cannot bring forth the conversation about equity over equality when you have more black folks who are richer today than they was back then. Go ahead.
So the issue that happens is that we were promised something. They said, hey, if you leave that side, come to our side and fight for us, this is what we're going to give you. And if the other people that fought along, they didn't get a contract to say they were supposed to get a certain thing, I'm sorry, that is not my fight for you. My fight is for what this person said they was going to give to these people. And so that's what reparations is supposed to be the fight for, about what you said you was going to give to a certain amount of people. That's who you need to give it to. It's not supposed to include everybody else. I'm sorry, that is not our fight for the Irish and the fight for Italian. We still fighting for ourselves first, just like how they say on the airplane. You got to put your own mask on first. So therefore, with reparations, I'm sorry, the people that did fight alongside of us, we got to put our own mask on first, and then you figure out whatever you were supposed to be promised, you go ahead and get that.
So because of the black plight, wanting equity over equality, we're just going to dismiss the fact that a man is dead and that his children will grow up fatherless only because the black fight is that much important. The Rainbow Coalition is more important than his death. That the Black Coalition is more important than his death. That black people will never stop doing demented, degenerative shit, and that they just want to be paid for it because they're a misunderstood people. We're just going to dissuade the whole entire life and legacy of Charlie Kirk. That's the most important thing, right?
No, so this is the problem when white folks become some good people and black people some bad people, right? The person that shot him is most likely the same race as him. The people that's doing the over 1,600 schools that got lit up, 98% of them is people that look like him. 70% of crimes that is committed in America is done by people that look like him. So we cannot now say that we do not look at our bad when he doesn't look at his bad. I never heard him talk about anything that is negative about what white folks.
You shouldn't be worried about what he says, because you should always be worried about the black people.
Everybody is concerned about us saying about what we do bad.
But y'all don't call out what y'all do bad.
We don't have to talk about what we do bad, and they don't have to talk about what they do bad.
But y'all don't call out what y'all do bad.
Hear white folks saying that they are the 70% of crime in America. So therefore, I don't need my black brother to talk about, hey, I'm a degenerate and such and such and such. No, we need to be moving forward like how we've been doing, because if we really look at the statistics, we are doing our best and we are gradually moving up. Slowly, but surely we are moving up. 10 years ago, we was only making 25,000, and now we're making 40-something thousand. So we are gradually moving. We just need them to get out the way and stop pushing all this remedial rhetoric on the news, making us seem like we are some degenerate, negative people that only could get hired because they gave us something where a DEI hire, you have to be qualified.
No, you don't. You literally just have to be black.
No, that's not true. So
yes, you do. Okay, so explain to me.
That's not true.
Hold on. It's because you want to take it back about equity, about black people. I'm asking you about Charlie in the state and the current state of 2025, while black people is going all online celebrating the death of this man. My question is, and it still stands, because I understand where you want to go, but we're not going to move away from where we actually are. Where we actually are is that in the current state of America, when it comes to the black community, which is full of degeneracy, which is full of nigga shit, which is full of fuck shit, that the black people in the community won't call it out because they're afraid of their own niggas that they protect. So you can't get mad when people see the shit online that they see online, especially that y'all do online in music and movies and social media, everything. You can't get mad with, again, we back to the shit on the porch analogy. So if you only want to considerations and you want looks and views and opinions and critiques from black people, only do it in the black space. But you know what the problem is? In the black space, y'all are too afraid to call out the bullshit in y'all communities because y'all are afraid of them and y'all want to protect them. Prime example, Chicago. Chicago is a fuck field of bullshit. Everybody out there is on bullshit. And yet the people of Chicago will not turn into criminals. Why? Because they're afraid that something's going to happen to them. But we all know that Chicago is a fuck field of bullshit, correct? Or would you agree?
About Chicago being on some F-boy-ish?
Yeah.
No, I do not agree.
So you think Chicago is safe?
Yes.
Sharana, ain't never been a time in my life I ever want to cuss you out more than right now. Chicago is safe? You mean to tell me Chicago is not riddled with gangs?
It does have gangs.
So Chicago isn't riddled with high homicide rates on black crimes?
No.
So who's killing the people in Chicago?
Chicago's not even in the top 20 in homicides in the past 10 years.
Sir, we're talking about violence. It doesn't always have to be homicide. I'm talking about violence.
But that's what you just brought. You brought up.
I know. So that's my fault. That's my fault. Yeah. So when we're talking about violence, we're just talking about violence within Chicago. Is it black on black or is it white on black, black on white? What is it?
Right. So that's where we start to really start peeling back the onion. Majority of the people in Chicago is not black.
Majority of people in the South Side.
It's 3 million people. Right. So the South Side is one. Like if we go to the very specific parts, right? Yes, those are concentrated in gang, right? So those very small parts of those cities. But when we look at the totality of Chicago, 3 million people is not as dangerous as they keep trying to make the media. But they are doing a good job of painting Chicago as it's some dangerous place. But the place that Charlie Kirk got
Charlie.
Sorry, I need some more water. Charlie Kirk got shot at was in a red state, and red states are the place where majority of gun violence is happening. It is not in blue cities.
It's the blue cities,
and this is just a great example of it. However, we are going to deny the truth, right? This is a truth that red states have the most gun violence in America, but we're going to deny that. And that is the issue that we having with our people. And when I say our people, I mean American people are just dealing with the raw facts instead of a feeling of the facts.
Yeah, okay. And you know what? How about this? I'll give you that in red states where the Second Amendment is promoted and most of people are either carriers or they're law-abiding citizens, guess what? A lot of those incidents get solved with guns. So a lot of gun incidents do happen in red states. But here's the problem. When you're talking about crimes involving guns, that's in sanctuary and blue cities. Well, sanctuary, blue cities, same thing. That's in sanctuary cities. And because of all of the busing that they was doing with the illegals coming into the country and these politicians getting paid for all of this shit that for bringing in all of these illegals into these sanctuary cities, and black people already in a heightened state of crime within those sanctuary cities. And now you have more illegals coming in and they're participating in crime because the NGOs at the border was telling them that as long as you vote blue, you're going to get citizenship. Now, when you want to talk about blue crime inside of red states, excuse me, because The previous administration, the Biden administration, was the main ones who was soft on crime. Now here it is, since you want to bring up Trump. Trump has to come in and clean up all of the soft on crime that y'all had to do. So y'all didn't put down the murderers. Y'all didn't put down the burglars. Y'all didn't put down the violators of women and children. All y'all did was just give them, y'all reduced the mandatory maximum, gave them cashless bail. Now, I'm not saying that cashless bail was something new, but it's just a thing of this. That young woman that was just stabbed in the neck by that black ignorant fool, the girl from Ukraine, that dude has been, he's a career criminal. Why in the hell is he still on the damn street? He should have been off the street. That girl should not be dead. But it's racist to call it the fact that a black man stabbed a girl on the train, and it's wrong. How? That man should have been in jail. And when you look at these sanctuary cities where black crime is happening on top of black crime, when black people's going against black people, that is a problem. But no one wants to do anything about it because they will say that, oh, you coming down on black people. If you're a black leader, you shouldn't be handling us as black people. You should be hugging us. You should be learning with us. You should be working with us so that we can reduce the crime rate. Sharon, my question to you is, since when has hugging a criminal stopped a criminal from producing another crime?
Never.
So why were we okay with being soft on criminals? And if we're going to only speak about criminals, it doesn't have to always be about black, because not all black people are criminals. But the truth of but wait, Charlie Kirk has said this. He has never said that the majority of black people are criminals. He said that these number of black people are criminals, and that's a problem. And they killed him for it. Go ahead.
Yeah, but it was most likely another white person that killed him.
Oh my God.
That's number one, right? Most likely, right? The person is at large still, but most likely is black folks do not have bolt action rifles, right? Usually. That's just a stereotype that we could probably agree on. When we're talking about crime, the problem is he is not talking about the 70% of crime that is done in America. He is trying to just pinpoint it on the ones that the 6% of America is committing. And even the ones that do get arrested for it is only about 400,000 of black folks that are convicted of these crimes, right? And so again, they saying that it's the per capita thing, but they are focused on the minority of the situation. You cannot cure the America situation by focusing on black people. They need to be more truthful and honest and just focus on what crimes are being committed. Once we start focusing on just what the crimes are, right, and just focus on who has committed them, and those people get arrested, and that is the real enemy of the country, and then we are being honest.
But black people are asking him about black crimes. What is he supposed to say?
The truth.
Okay, and what's the truth?
The truth is that black on black crime is not real, just the same way as white on white crime is not real. Crime is crime.
Black people don't kill black people.
White people kill white people. Like
no. The question is from a black. Wait. The question is from a black person about black crime. How can he answer that question?
He could be honest and say black crime is not important enough to have a conversation about it, because they are not committing the majority of crime in America.
How is black crime not important? You're talking about the loss of black lives done by black people. How is that not important?
The reason why it's not important, because we need to focus on the majority of the crimes first.
Sharon,
yes,
you know I love you, right? That is the biggest heap of bullshit I ever heard. If you want to solve the crime in the black community, stop. Let's just keep it to the deletions. If you want to stop the deletions in the black community, then get rid of the damn black people that's killing the black people. But wait, to say that, well, we're not going to talk about the black crime, even though I asked you about the black crime. We want to hear from you about the white people. So you wanted Charlie Kirk to condemn white people and not speak the truth about black people. So again, talking points are dangerous.
So the problem is, if he's talking about black crime, it doesn't solve the crime in America. So he should be talking about crime in America. So even if they solve the crime in our black small cities, because we are only in very small parts of this country, right? It doesn't solve the fact that 90-something%, high 90s% of school shootings is happened by a certain group of people. So, right. So the fact that people walk inside of goddamn movie theaters and do certain things. It happened by a certain group of people. So when we are just focusing on the Black society part of it, you are not actually trying. This is what I'm saying, that when they try to mask their truth, right? But it's really racism, because if you just focus on what Black folks do in America, you are not actually trying to solve for no problem, because it's not a problem the way how they are pushing it out to be, because our crime is down and our population is up.
Sharon, I get you and I understand your speech is beautiful, but my question was about from Black people asking a white man about Black crimes. From your logic, you wanted him to condemn white people and not speak the truth about Black people when it's a Black person asking him about Black crimes. As for instance, let me give you this perspective. Do you know the question that he was asked right before he got shot?
Something about gun control or something of that nature.
Yeah. It had no race attached to it whatsoever.
It does.
It did not. Wait. Wait. Hold on. Not what we perceive it to be. We only sticking with what was asked of him. What was asked of him? Go ahead.
So the reason why we know it does have race on it, like when they do something, they're not called thugs. That's how you can tell what kind of criminal it is, right? If you know, when the young man that is a T-man that shot up the school, he wasn't called a thug, right? Something happens, you know, Carmelo, he's called a thug, even though he was a good kid, right? From on paper. So that's when you start to know these are the dog whistles that I'm talking about. So once you say gang violence, the dog whistles that you are talking about Black violence, and Black people are doing these things, even though white folks, again, they probably got the biggest gangs in America.
Gotcha. So you know, the last question was, do you know how many transgender Americans have been mass shooters over the last 10 years? What does that have to do with race?
It has something to do with race. Once they say
has nothing to do with
when they say gang violence.
It was a white person asking him the question.
I understand, but once you throw in gang shootings and gang this and gang that, we know you're talking about that.
No, we're only dealing with the question. Wait, we're only dealing with the question. But
the answer was, his answer was, it's plenty of mass shootings, but gang shootings are boom.
That was not his answer. That was not even that's not what happened. So this is what happened. It was a white boy. He asked him, "Do you know how many transgender Americans have been mass shooters over the last 10 years?" An audience member asked him that. Kirk responded, "Too many." The follow-up question was, "Do you know how many mass shooters have been? Do you know how many mass shooters there have been in America over the last 10 years?" All Charlie Kirk said was counting or not counting gang violence. What the hell does that have to do with race?
Because gang means Black.
So gang means Black?
Yes. When he says it, that's what it means. No, when somebody like Charlie Kirk says gang, nobody's thinking about, this is what I'm saying, the dog whistles, right? Nobody's thinking about MS-13. Nobody's thinking about those biker gangs. Nobody's thinking about the mafia. Nobody's thinking about the Yakuza. Nobody's thinking about the Russian mafia. None of those things. When somebody like Charlie Kirk says gang, he means Black.
Sharon, you're only attributing. Okay, I'm going to ask you a baseline question. I just want a simple answer.
Okay.
Is it because it's Charlie or is it because he's white?
It's because it's Charlie.
Okay. So remove the question from Charlie and put it on someone like Thomas Sewell. You know who Thomas Sewell is, right?
I don't think so.
Black dude.
Okay.
Am I saying his name correctly? I think it's Thomas Sewell. You know what? I'll use Officer Tatum. If Officer
Tatum said gang, he's talking about Black.
Okay. Ben Shapiro.
I don't know him, but it sounds like his name is familiar with some things with racism.
He's a racism. Okay. Crowder. Steven Crowder. Is Steven Crowder's asked this question. He says gang. Is it about Black people?
I don't know his rhetoric. I haven't heard him speak.
So, because it came from Charlie, and because we already have a stay with me on this one.
Okay.
Because it's Charlie, and our logic is that we have a predisposed disposition about him that he's automatically racist because of his rhetoric. Because he uses the word gang, he's attributing that specifically to black people.
Usually, yes.
That is the biggest heap of shit that I've ever heard in my life, Sharon, and I'll tell you why. Because that lets me know that any person who is black that listens to Charlie, who asks him a question, they are specifically looking to be influenced by their own offended emotions, and that's bullshit. That means that no black person is having a conversation in good faith. So that means that also that anyone who was down with the LGBTQ or the Rainbow Coalition, who asks anyone who speaks about freedom of speech or about logic, they cannot answer a question in good faith because anything that they say is going to be taken as racist. You have the floor.
No, so again, the problem is that you assume that Charlie's having an honest conversation, even though I pointed it out that the man is not having honest conversations. He literally pinpoints his conversation and direct truthful things and skew it and misconstrue it as these people are bad. I'm the right person. I'm good. Everybody else is bad. But literally, he is the one that is doing the provoking speech. He's the one that is antagonizing people. He's the one that is provoking violence. He's the one that is dividing the people. He is not attempting to bring the people together so we can have an understanding and say, hey, that was a very truthful thing about me. That's a very truthful thing about me. How can we get together and move forward? He hasn't brought in any solutions that can help American people, because America, sorry to let these people know, is that we are multicultural. It's spreading across. It's not just on the outskirts of America anymore. It's spilling into the middle of America as well. And they just going to have to understand that you cannot have these BS rhetoric that he was spewing and provoking people to have these emotions, because words do invoke emotions out of human beings. This is why certain speakers, we tend to go towards them, right? It's the reason why Trump is moving the way how he moved, because he gets the people going, right? It's because of his words. So if words can move people to do great things, we could also understand that your words can push people to do some very negative things as well. And we have to be careful. And me and you both, we gonna have to be careful as well too, because he started off in the same position, talking, and gradually build up his business, right? So, and then now, so we got to be careful that we are mindful that there's a lot of degenerate and special needs people that's out there. I don't know if that's the proper word, special needs, but mental,
probably not. No, let's be careful.
Mental, people.
Don't even say that, because you have the Americans.
You understand the sentiment I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I got you. But
and they have these problems, and they cannot deal with having a verbal discourse the way how me and you have it.
I would attribute
this conversation that we have right now, with probably a good 90% of people that we know, it would have turned into some you are
I got you.
You're a BA friend. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's not even that. You see it happening online where people are literally showing up on each other's live streams and deleting them. You see what I'm saying? So over in another sector of YouTube, you literally had a gay man who was having a back and forth with his ex in the chat room. That gay man's ex pulled up to him on his house and hit him across the head with a wrench, busted his head, busted his shit all wide open, bloody and everything, right? So I take simple attacks on like that, and then I use something on a grander scale, such as what happened in Las Vegas. We're going to stay very short on this topic because I see channels getting. So what happened in Las Vegas was, it was this married couple having a problem with another man. That man found them on a live stream while they was in Vegas, and he got rid of them right there on live stream. So now we have escalated to the point to where you already have people going into these sit downs or public engagements or speaking engagements, and they're confronting these people, these influencers or these public speakers. Now we're at a different level. It's 2025, one day before 9/11, and a prolific influencer who speaks the truth of which is about freedom of speech and how it is that we can have civil discourse and we can disagree, and he loses his life. All because, and not painting a narrative, I'm only dealing with logic, because he used the word gang, and by your logic, he used the word gang, and that was against black people, and a white person shot him. That's the America that we're living in right now. And this is why I said last night that talking points should not be a death sentence, especially when we have multiple podcasters like you and myself. You have multiple people who are also influencers who get up here and they speak the truth. But I can tell you one thing, during the Biden administration, while you had all of these influencers, you had all of these podcasters, you had all of these people who were coming up and saying everything that they possibly could in every salacious way to say that you were un-American if you did not go along with their rhetoric. No one died. And now here we are in 2025 because he's a conservative man and he's speaking the truth about what it is that he sees and that is easily researchable in America. And yet he lost his life because someone felt like he was being a racist. That is dangerous. Whether you're black, white, male, female, tall, short, whatever, everyone should be able to participate in civil discourse. Would you agree?
I would agree with that. However, we don't know the reason why this person pulled that trigger. We are assuming that it is what you said, and I'm assuming it is what I said, right? We literally assuming, and it's because we collecting data as it's continuously to move. Like tomorrow, you might have a whole different synopsis to why that person did it, right? As we get the data as it comes along, which we should be allowed to change our minds. And that is the real issue, is that it's people out there saying it's extreme leftists that did this. And we don't know. This could be his own people for what we know. They could have just looked at and say, hey, he's going to be used as a model to keep pushing this thing forward. Because we know one of the things that helped Trump push forward was that air situation that happened to him. That made him look a lot different in a lot of people's eyes, right? And it made you want to get more behind him even more. Whether it's a ploy or was it real, we don't know. It is what it is. However, we know what it looked like after the math. You know what I'm saying? So we got to be careful and just really start dissecting things and be honest. Well, if it's good for us or bad, or it makes us look bad. It doesn't matter if it makes us look good or make it look bad. We got to be just start dealing with more honesty and more truth and stop provoking violence towards somebody else, unless that's what the kind of smoke we want.
All right. We need to do this more often, apparently, because this got the people going. I don't know what your numbers look like on your side, but and no, this is not. Let me just say this, because I've seen somebody say it in the chat that people do anything for numbers. Let me just say this. This is not something that was even planned. This was something that just happened. Should there be more conversations like this? And I dare even say this. What we're doing right now is nothing different from what's been going on. The only difference is that we're talking about someone who's not here anymore to participate in it because people took what he said as racism. And that's a problem. People should be able to have open civil discourse. This is why I don't have conversations anymore. This is specifically why I only have discussions. Conversations involve too many emotions. And as much as we have been live talking about this, there have been people in the chat not calling out any specific name or from either side. But just because I'm a black man and I don't agree with all of the, no, this is not an open panel show. Do you even want to do an open panel show? I think it's just good enough. We could probably do something later. I don't know. Probably got other things to do. Let's run through our super chats right quick. I got $10 from HQ React. She says he never said overly racist things, just undermined people of color. The accomplishments and systems designed to help that disparity, implying things are not legitimate to crowds was the covert racist talk. Appreciate you for that. ANJ Smooth, he says $2. He says facts. Unc B Stream with $2 says Sharon is no different than Charlie towards black men. Absolutely. You're no different. When you talk about black men, you sound like Charlie. You just don't know it. Hey. HM with $2 says, okay, discussed all of self-disruptive behavior. Rick, Charlie, Kirk. Yes, definitely. Oh, I'm sorry. He says CK. Charlie Kirk discussed all self-disruptive behavior. Rip. Rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. Yes, that is true. Ugly Stream with $2 says with Sharon logic, Umar is worse than Charlie. Abso-fucking-lutely. Umar is a huge racist. By that logic alone, Umar is a racist. So should I know I'm not asking that question. Nope. Bad Dick with $5 says Sharon. Who you want reps from? Reparations. The government that never owned slaves, the 400K white soldiers that died for you or for your freedom, or the people who never owned slaves? That's a question for you.
Right. So whoever said that they owe those fighting black men 40 acres and a mule, whoever signed and said that this is what you're going to get if we win, those are the people that need to pay those people, or the ancestors of those people.
All right. Chris Watts with $5 says, man, I love us. I love the USA, man. Who you telling? Jessica Rabbit with $5 says, whenever I hear the word gang, I automatically think of MS-13 and TBA. Absolutely. I think it's, to just speak to this right quick, Sharon, I think it's because of whatever culture that you come from. Whenever you hear the word gang, you think it's attributed to your culture. Just like if one of us was white and we would say a gang of people, they would probably think we're talking about them. Even when we use the word redneck, because they probably come from that culture. Truth of the matter is there's black rednecks, there's Asian rednecks, there's blue rednecks, there's red rednecks.
So I think the problem is that we are not paying attention to the rhetoric, right? So like we know when certain white men, right, will talk to you and they say, listen here, boy, we know what that really actually means, right? And when Charlie was using it, we know what he actually means. And
he called somebody boy?
I'm saying if
gang.
A certain person was to use the word boy, right, we know what he really mean, right? And he could always hide behind that and say, no, this is how I normally talk. I call everybody boy. But we know for a fact when you said it towards me, that you meant it differently than when you said it towards your little son. You said, boy, come here, and versus when you told me, boy, come here. And that's being truthful and honest, that those are the same words, same sentence, but they mean two different things. That's honest.
Do you got any super chats? Read your super chats real quick.
We got Bad Duck with the 2-ball. He says, go buy Sharon a cheeseburger so he can shut the F up. Bad Duck, that joke wasn't funny, god damn it. Next on the line, go to the next one, Sal, if you can hear me. The next one is HM with the 2-ball. No speech is free unless all speech is free. And then we got HQ Reacts. Sal is disingenuous. He knows that was implied. Absolutely. We also got HQ. When any person say gang violence, them mean black. I don't know why we act like we don't know that. You see where I'm at? You see what I'm up to? I'm up to the last one now. Bad Duck with the 5-ball. Sharon, I'm willing to bet that none of your ancestors were slaves to begin with. So, shut the F up. You ain't entitled to nothing. Get over it. Bad.
Give me a sec.
I'm gonna go turn into Elmer Fudd in this mother. I will turn into Elmer Fudd out this mother.
Hold on 1 second. Baby, was you trying to come up? Raw. Oh no, okay, she's leaving. All right, cool. You read through that was all the super chats?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I have to go pick up.
Yeah, man. This is actually a nice impromptu.
You still get on my nerves though.
Hey, same here. Like, I'm glad that your hats ain't wrinkly. I'm glad you found the iron. Shout out to you.
First of all, sir, even though you do a streaming, watch this.
Better scramble like an egg before you get folded like an omelet, nigga.
Ooh, that brother's floating in the air. How could his hands do this? Oh, someone get him out the air.
All right, cool. Damn it, that's right. She said, how am I? Damn it.